Hello and welcome to the Cryptonaut podcast. My name is Mark Storrs, and hanging out with me, as always, is Mr. Robert Thomas Morphy II.
What a pleasure it is.
Robert, we are going deep.
Yeah, we are.
We are going 3 parts deep.
This is the tertiary episode.
Quite possibly, sir, we're looking at 4.
Oh, we definitely are.
We're definitely looking at 4.
Yeah, let full spoilers prevail. We
Okay.
can't tell the whole story in 3.
Okay,
And
that's
we're not
cool.
going to short shrift our audience.
No.
You're going to get the Varginha tale.
We are going to be living in Virginia for
We are.
at least a month.
We have a summer house there.
Yes, we do.
You know, we no longer live in Replonges.
No, unfortunately, Replanches had to go. But yes, this week we are on to the Varginha Incident Part 3, Death and Saucers. We'll be dealing with that in a second here. But before we get started, I wanted to remind everyone that's coming up on our Discord server, which is available through the Patreon at patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast. Both tiers will get you access to the Discord server. January 20th at 8:30 p.m. We're doing a campfire there.
The best.
Mirror. So check that out. They're cool. People come in, they tell all their, encounters that they've had with, Bloody Mary, or like the name written in Steam, or the thing in the bathroom.
Well, yeah, because this
watching
one
you.
is specifically mirror oriented.
Yes.
So, if you're creeped out by mirrors, and who the fuck isn't?
Exactly.
Really? We've all been startled by our reflection at some point.
Yeah.
Or seen something that we weren't quite sure and did a double take and then didn't see it again.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that's not paranormal. That could be pareidolia. That could be who knows what. But mirrors are freaky.
Yeah,
And you got to be cautious. And I've had my own experiences that are pretty weird.
I kind of want you to go on there and talk about where
Yeah, maybe I will.
where you just disassociated from
just
yourself.
complete dissociative
And you
disorder.
were 5. So, yeah, that's totally cool.
No, I got off on existential crises when I was in preschool. That was my way.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, dude? We all start at some spot.
You can separate yourself from you, and if you're young enough, it's not a traumatic event. Nowadays, that would be fucking debilitating.
Yes.
Back then, it was just some cool shit I did on a Tuesday.
Well, you were way ahead of your time.
Yeah,
Other
pioneering.
Kids, yeah. In the field of mental health, Robert Morby, pioneering. Alrighty, the Varginha Incident Part 3, as we mentioned before, Death and Saucers. With multiple alleged alien encounters occurring throughout Varginha, January 20th, 1996 would prove to be one of the most eventful dates in Brazilian ufology. But even after the sunset, the day was far from over. Arguably, the most terrifying incident of that incredible 24-hour period had yet to transpire. And for one unfortunate individual, the result would be nothing short of tragic.
Tragic. It's sad.
It is. We mentioned this the last episode, that this unfortunately comes to the loss of life. So, Robert, without further ado, the Varginha Incident Part 3.
Mm-hmm.
Good sir.
In the early hours of January 20th, 1996, we're going to do a little recap here. Reports began to filter in from a wooded, sparsely populated section of Varginha located between the Jardim Andir and Santana districts just 1 mile east from the downtown area, regarding the appearance of an array of oily, unearthly entities. Firefighters were dispatched to the scene, where they discovered that an army unit was already in pursuit of the bizarre red-eyed beings. The two terrified teams, joined efforts, and by midday, they and a second group of soldiers had managed to capture or kill between 3 and 8 specimens in the hilly, forested region. One eyewitness, Henrique Jose de Souza, even claimed that he was startled and disturbed when he heard one of the strange beings, quote-unquote, crying like a child.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that's a terrible sound.
I know, it's awful.
That's a sound, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Kelpies and other Northern European, mostly British Isle water horses use, and other goblin-y type monsters that live in the woods to attract unwary, and sympathetic humans to come and be like, oh my God, a Babins is in the woods and they're alone and they're starving and they probably got left there by a stepmom. I'm assuming I read a fairy tale. And then they go there and they just get fucking eaten.
And then they jump on
by
your
a
face.
goddamn water horse.
They jump on your face and they suck your brain through your nose.
Face free in 23. Every time. So be careful of the crying child. But on the other hand, don't leave a fucking crying child in the woods. Like, just make sure you see the child before you run up on it.
Approach
cautiously.
Cautiously.
But don't leave a child. Like, don't be so afraid of the fucking hobgoblin that you let it. That's all I need to say.
All right, dude. No child left behind.
Yes. Unless
everyone's
it's a Kelpie.
Everyone's gonna learn to read. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
The alleged ETs The first of which was shoved into a wooden box and covered with a white plastic canvas cover, aka resistant fabric. So in case you remember from last week, I wasn't sure what resistant fabric is. I've discovered in further research that it's a white plastic canvas cover.
Okay.
Were taken back to ESA, the Escola de Sargentos Army base, but not before all witnesses present, both military participants and civilian onlookers, were sworn to secrecy by the man in charge of the operation, Lieutenant Colonel Olympio Wanderley. Phenomenal name again. In the next few hours, various observers claimed to have seen everything from F-5 supersonic fighters flying in attack formation to army trucks filled with soldiers driving in and out of the area. One of the oddest rumors to filter out was that a local farmer had managed to shoot one of the creatures, which may or may not have prompted the military's second search of the sector. At the same time, other eyewitnesses reported military roadblocks being established within the city, as we talked about last week. This struck many as odd, as the Brazilian military had never used Varginha for training maneuvers in the past. When asked what was going on, the Army's cryptic response to curious civilians was that it was a matter of national security.
Oh.
And they were left to fucking hang.
The old national security. Nope, sorry, folks, nothing to see here. This is a matter of national security.
Oh, my God. You could be one of them.
And if you keep pressing the issue, we're going to fucking shoot you.
Oh, yeah.
So there you go.
You'll be lucky to eat a bullet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It was at about 3:30 p.m. that the most infamous of all the Varginha incidents took place. Teenage sisters Liliane and Valkyrie da Silva, along with their 22-year-old friend Katja Xavier, decided to take a shortcut through an overgrown alley on their way home from work when they encountered what Katja would later describe as a horrible thing that was neither animal nor human. The silent, veiny, horned, brown-skinned entity crouched against a wall, and though the girls were terrified by what they assumed, as good Catholics, to be a demonic apparition before them, they had the presence of mind to realize that this creature, whether its origin was infernal or extraterrestrial, was clearly in physical pain and every bit as afraid of them as they were of it. But whatever fleeting sympathies the girls may have had for this inhuman entity, they were not enough to prevent them from shrieking and fleeing the scene in instinctive terror. At the insistence of Liliane and Valkyrie's mother, Luisa, the girl's father, Jose Lopez da Silva, was at work at the time, which I discovered later. They never mentioned the dad. I thought maybe she was a single mom.
Yeah.
But he wasn't involved. So at the insistence of their mother, Luisa, the four women returned to the locale minutes later, but they could find no sign of the potentially diabolical thing, save for a single strange, rounded, long-toed footprint and the horrific stench of rotten eggs and ammonia that now permeated the alley. As a tremendous storm was brewing in the distance, the women decided to quickly take their leave. But even though the oncoming tempest would prove to be one of the most violent in the city's history, it was as if a storm of another kind, one consisting of rumor and hearsay, was already battering this close-knit community, clenching it in a death grip of fear and panic and leaving in its wake the detritus of a deeply pervasive paranoia. A paranoia that was only exacerbated when it was revealed that one of the greasy goblins had been taken from the Asa Army base to Humanitas Hospital, where it had perished the night before.
Oh, you don't need Facebook for this.
No, you don't.
No.
No, not 96.
Not 96.
Not in Varginha.
No.
Not where fucking aliens are concerned.
No.
That's called the grapevine, bitches.
There you go. This is back in the day before we all could just share rumor and hearsay on Facebook and get the whole, get your local community in an uproar.
If you doubt this shit, I have really, now my mom is from a big Irish Catholic family. I'll make this story quick. And, so she had I guess 3 brothers. I don't even know. I can't even keep count. There was fucking 17 of them at first. And
oh my
I think
God.
there's I don't know how many now, but she had lots of sisters. So if one little thing happened to somebody, anybody, if there was a fire in fucking Poughkeepsie, fucking everyone knew. They were all on the horn with each other immediately, like Pepsi in one hand, cigarette in the other, fucking phone inexplicably hovering between their ear and the shoulder, just fucking, and it was before call waiting, and they still managed to get party lines going. Yeah. It was nuts. It seems like it's hard for things to go viral back then, and certainly it was harder without Instagram and whatnot, but it was very possible.
I mean, in a small community like this happens, and it probably spreads quicker.
Oh, yeah.
Except you don't have the luxury of getting cell phone pictures. Or making TikTok dances in front of the weird little stinky demon.
Oh, could you imagine?
Yeah, TikTok dances, dude.
Oh, I'd love it.
Fucking do it.
All the rage.
Totally.
Scuttlebutt surrounding the critters. I love the word scuttlebutt. Allegedly captured by the soldiers and firefighters that morning, had already spread throughout Varginha. But that afternoon, as whispers spread through the populace regarding the dead hospital alien and what the three girls had seen within the city proper, it was as if Pandora's box had been ripped open, and those who had already been afraid of the malodorous monsters that might be lurking on the outskirts of their fair city now had to contend with the fact that they were no longer on the outside looking in, but had infiltrated the streets of Varginha and could now be literally anywhere. And if that weren't already quite enough weirdness for one city, that's when reports of flying saucers began coming in.
Oh, we're going right to the UFOs?
Gotta.
All right, well.
An eyewitness who was a boy at the time told filmmaker and ufologist James Fox in his documentary Moment of Contact, which we've talked about extensively covering this incident, that at the height of the panic, he and his mother saw a rounded UFO hovering over Varginha at approximately the same height, of the street lamps. So they looked to be about 70 feet high to me in the documentary, but who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
Under 100 feet. He was under the impression that it was, quote unquote, looking for something. This would not be the first or last sighting of a UAP over the city in January of 1996. Perhaps the most intriguing UFO incident involved a quote-unquote respectable family of Varginha natives that only agreed to share their story with Fox under a condition of anonymity. According to the white-haired patriarch of the clan, he heard the sound of a food delivery man's motorcycle in his driveway, but when he went outside to pay for dinner, all thoughts of hunger dissipated as his attention was immediately snagged by a swiftly rotating, silvery metallic disc with a glowing red sphere in the center of it that hovered directly above his house. He called out his wife and daughter to come see the spectacle. For minutes, the father, his family, and the delivery person watched in wide-eyed wonder as the flying saucer moved slowly over the neighborhood, evidently searching for something in what appeared to be, according to Fox, a quote-unquote grid pattern. So just zoop, zoop, zoop. It kind of reminds me of the UFO at the end of Night of the Creeps. Not the crappy HBO version where the dog barfs a slug, but like the cool version at the end where the UFO is looking for alien slugs. It's a spoiler alert, but that's a denouement. I'm not really telling you how the movie ends. But it just reminds me of that. And I love the idea of UFOs looking for, presumably, these fucking creatures.
They lost one of their boys.
A lot of their boys.
What the fuck? Where'd Terry go?
Up to 8 of them. Yeah. Terry, Phil, Jerry,
Jared,
Mary,
Mark,
Ricky.
One with the C, one with the K. Yeah. There's multiple Marks.
Definitely.
That's for me.
They're always there.
Yeah, Mark with a C, so anyone knows.
Ricky with 2 Ks.
Oh, Ricky with 2 Ks. Ricky, don't lose that number.
That's what happens.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
cool.
These things might be somewhere where Phil Collins can't find them. Depending.
Fine.
I don't know if you ever looked. In all fairness, I'm not here to impugn his, detecting skills.
Phil Collins is nothing but fucking stringent.
Oh,
Good
he
sir.
is too. Yeah. He is dedicated.
On.
He's gonna fucking studio this fucking case. I fucking like his music a lot.
I fucking love Phil Collins.
I really do.
We were just listening to him in the car.
God, he's so catchy.
He rules, dude.
God bless him. I wish he was in this investigation.
Phil Collins showed up.
All right, so we got a UFO grid pattern. The patriarch further claimed that about a week later, he and his family were visited by Brazilian ufologist, lawyer, and the lead investigator on the Varginha case, Ubira, this is a hard name for me, Ubira Jara Franco Rodriguez, who, according to some sources, was later silenced by the government.
Oh, big
Not permanently, but just shut the fuck up.
Right.
And who was accompanied by 2 Americans who his wife, that being the patriarch's wife, believed to be representatives of NASA, though her husband was not so sure.
The interesting thing with this interview is that they don't want to talk with Mr. Fox, with James Fox.
No, they're real reticent.
They're real, but he's like, oh, don't worry, I'm going to blur their face out. It's going to be fine. But then, they blur their face out and they're there, and you're like, I could totally pick these people out.
Yeah, if I knew these people, it's like, I totally, I recognize the back of my friend's head.
Yeah, you're like a well-to-do family. We don't want anyone to know who you are.
I know that driveway.
Yeah, and
I know everything about this.
You can see the gate. You can see where the guy's pointing. You're like, oh, that's the fucking whoever's,
that's the Mendoza.
Yeah, they're
whatever.
over on fucking whatever road there. It's really bizarre. I almost wanted to be like, I don't know, man.
You're not trying to. If I ever wanted to.
Just don't show them on camera.
Do an anonymous interview. If I ever saw some really weird shit and I'm like, I can't tell you about this and have people know, I would not just be like, oh yeah, shoot me from behind because no one's going to recognize my fat bald ass, or fucking
your
barely
voice.
disguise my voice.
Yeah.
Like I would have a small, frail Filipino woman, completely backlit.
Yep.
And she would just be reading a transcription of what I saw
There
and
you
said,
go.
because I am not going to be associated at fucking all.
No,
you
there you
cannot
go.
trust documentarians to really, like poor Bob Lazar in those early days. Like no one recognized those big fat glasses. No one knew your fucking voice.
That's fucking Bobby.
That's Bobby. That's Bobby L.
Fucking Bobby
Hey,
Lazar.
Laser Lazar, what are you doing on TV
He's a
here?
fucking rocket wizard.
Oh my God, you're so good with them UFOs. Oh, you're coming clean, huh? That's not going to bode well.
That's the guy that takes us to go see the UFOs that come in and out of fucking S4 or whatever. Son of a bitch. All right. Well, I think they could have
So
done
yeah,
a
they
better
could have done a
job.
little better hiding the identity.
But it is interesting though how they're very, very hesitant to do this.
Oh, yeah.
And then even the
But
guys
then once
were
they
like,
start
eh.
sharing, it's fucking on.
Yeah,
it's on like Donkey Kong.
And they all have the same story throughout the years, so
Yeah.
they're not changing their story up. There you go.
So 26 years later, 25 years
same
later, however
story.
long it was.
And they're all there in the same exact area, like recreating it. So, all right, I like it.
So, I mean, obviously, I'm not sure if this specific incident took place on the 20th, though it was very close there.
Right.
But the 20th is this fucking day. Like, we dealt with half of it yesterday. I already did the recap, from everything that's happening, and it's not over yet.
No.
It's still just literally the craziest day in ufology.
Yeah.
I don't even think I'm going on a limb by saying that.
No, this is definitely like fucking balls to the walls, out of control.
By early evening on January 20th, news of the ground and potential air invasion had been made official by local press reports, corroborating the rumors that not only had the military allegedly captured unknown creatures, but that some of the potential predators were still prowling the streets. This would prove to be the final drop that burst the dam. According to author and ufologist Vittorio Paccaccini, thousands of Varginhans took to the dark streets, searching shadowy corners and crevices in the hopes of catching a glimpse of the red-eyed fiends that were quickly becoming the stuff of legend, or scanning the skies for any signs of the craft that had brought these abominations into their once sleepy city.
We got an alien hunt.
Yeah, skies and ground.
It sounds great, but
Look up, look down, look all around.
oh, but it could get deadly.
Oh, yeah.
This
And
could-
plus, it's a fucking hailstorm. And it's not just any fucking hailstorm. It's the kind of hailstorm that has big, giant hunks of ice that are smashing car windshields and house windows.
Right.
Like, it's one of the most violent storms in the history of Varginha. So while that's going on, you've got this impromptu posse of, well, he claimed thousands of people. And it is a city of 120,000 people.
Right.
So, the thought of like 1,500 people randomly throughout the city going, oh, what the hell's going on? I got to go check it out.
Yeah.
Is not beyond the pale.
No, and obviously, if you're hearing reports of these things, you're going to be like, oh, if we heard that,
Oh,
we'd
yeah.
be like,
If this were happening around here,
dude, get in the truck, we're going,
yeah, it
dude.
doesn't matter that it's a storm. Let's hit it.
There you go.
And then we'd be stopped by a military blockade.
Yeah, I'd be like, I got constitutional rights.
Oh my God, I'd be like, shut up, dude.
And I'm like, no, fuck you. He has constitutional rights too.
Oh, boy.
You can't tell me. Oh, you can't tell me what to do. Never mind.
Yeah, you can. Not surprisingly, there were more than a few reports concerning the creatures in question, but the only confirmed encounter that we have was a harrowing event involving a pair of police officers that took place approximately 3 hours after and just a few hundred yards away from the soon-to-be infamous De Silva and Xavier encounter. The incident in question took place at about 6 p.m. and involved Corporal Eric Lopez, who was driving through the neighborhood cordoned off by military trucks with his subordinate, 23-year-old officer Marco Eli Cherese, in the passenger seat. The two men, who, like the city's fire brigade, were technically a part of the military, were not directly involved in any of the investigations surrounding the alleged alien fugitives. They had simply been told to be on the lookout for anything strange, as they were sent out on patrol to the area where the girls had recently seen the vexatious varmint. As the rain and hail streaked down outside, the officers strained their eyes, looking for any hint of movement in the darkness. The patrolmen rounded a corner, and just as their headlights bounced off the thick patches of scrub brush in an abandoned lot overlooking a hill, something inexplicable ran in front of the vehicle. For a split second, the men just stared in shock. Whatever it was small, dark, and shiny, with long, spindly arms and short legs. But what blew their minds was the fact that, unlike an animal, it ran on 2 feet, and that it had what looked like horns and huge, reflective, red eyes.
'Tis no raccoon, my friend.
No. The moment that Eric tapped the brakes, the gung-ho Marco wasted no time in leaping out of the car and chasing after the creature. Within moments, the athletic officer had managed to scoop up the fragile figure who seemed to be too weak to offer any real resistance. Without missing a beat, Marco climbed back into the car, cradling his quarry. It's not known if they immediately radioed in with the news of the capture, but what we do know is that the officers, perhaps not knowing what else to do and realizing that the humanoid thing was not well, made a beeline for Regional General Hospital. Marco wrapped the creature in his jacket and Eric accompanied him as he carried it into Regional General. Ufologist and publisher A.J. Givard, who was interviewed in Moment of Contact, claimed that, like all of the others who had encountered these creatures, Marco was overcome by the stench permeating not just his clothes, but his flesh as well. He told his loved ones that no matter how often he washed or how hard he scrubbed, he could not get rid of the viscous, sticky, greasy sheen that seemed to have permanently bonded with his skin ever since he had come into contact with the visitor.
Dude,
that's bad news.
Cradling the little tiny horned space demon into the back of the car
because you want to save him. You don't take him to the good hospital first off. You take him to Regional General. But what the fuck? Hey,
I don't know.
It might have been a lot closer.
Maybe a blanket. Well,
he used his coat, but at first he grabbed the guy.
Get a trash bag, cut a hole for its head so it doesn't die.
Oh, I know.
Put it on there and be like, here you go, buddy.
Or maybe you let it die in the bag.
Because you just don't wrestle it to the ground.
I don't know. Like you get a really big coffee can, put holes in it. Fucking stuff.
Put it in Tupperware.
Like if you caught a salamander when you were fucking 7, then hopefully immediately released it because they would dry within a minute.
It's kind of shocking that he just jumps out and he's like, got it.
Oh, but he's 23.
I know.
He's an officer.
He's
trying to impress his boss, Corporal Lopez. And he's like, oh no, we're supposed to find something strange. This is some strange shit. It's a hailstorm. He's fucking Indiana Jones or whatever the fuck he was in 1996. Name a hero from that period. And he was Nick Cage. He was Nick Cage and he was going to dive through those hail rocks. He was going to grab that alien. He was going to snag it up and bring it to the car and be like, I'm the one that caught it. I'm the hero today. Didn't work out that way.
No, unfortunately.
Much like the real life Nick Cage.
Hey, Dave, you wait till you see the trailer for Renfield, my friend. Oh, he plays a Dracula.
Does he now?
He does. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay.
It looks really good.
All right, we'll table that for now.
All right, well, we're going to have that discussion over at Patreon. Check that episode out.
Fair enough. So, this is why he has to be a hero. This is why he does what he does. But unfortunately, it soaked through his shirt. It got on his skin.
And it's sticky.
And it's icky, sticky, yicky.
Yeah. I've definitely had chemicals from work stick on my skin where we use it's a chemical called it's a polymer.
Yeah.
And it's resistant to water.
Did it terrify you?
I get it on my hands all the time. You got to scrub the shit out.
Things that aren't water soluble really fuck me up because I'm so used to things just coming off with a little bit of dishwashing detergent and fucking water.
Yep.
And when you need lava and fucking Brillo pads and whatever. You're just like, what the fuck? Get off of me. Get the fuck off of me.
A couple of times I've actually caught it in my, on my lip.
Oh.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah. Because
you have to panic a little.
You get it in your mouth or something
no.
You don't. Yeah, it sucks.
No polymers in the mouth.
It totally sucks. Yeah.
All right.
Thankfully we wear masks now.
Good. Smart.
Yeah, exactly.
Marco's icky. Okay.
Yeah, he's covered in goo.
Ubirajara claimed that he had interviewed a nurse who happened to be standing outside of Regional General with a receptionist when the officers arrived, grasping the stinking, squirming bundle. The nurse confirmed that a quote-unquote little monster had been first received at the hospital, but that, like the dying being from the night before, remember when the creature was brought in from ASA base?
Yeah.
Had quickly been refused and sent to Humanitas Hospital. So it's the second time Regional General's like, fuck you and your aliens. We're a people hospital.
I mean,
all right, we don't deal with dogs. We don't deal with ETs.
As a nurse and as a doctor, and you're probably like, what are we supposed to do with this?
What is this? Your crazy hairless jungle raccoon.
Yeah, what are we?
Is that a tapir? Is that a baby tapir? You pretend you don't even think it's an alien. You're just like, get it the fuck out of here.
It's got horns. It has horns. It's got
red eyes.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do with it?
What if it tries to smile?
Oh God.
It's worrisome.
It is.
So again, Regional General not having your non-fucking human patients.
I kind of understand it.
Yeah,
I do.
The reason given this time, remember last time it was because Humanitas was better equipped and a better hospital, was that the unnamed doctor in charge of the alien patient, so obviously they had called ahead or some doctor was assigned to them, had decided that it would be easier to conceal its presence at the larger Humanitas hospital. So bigger, easier to hide, close off a wing.
So
which
they're
they
already
do.
all in on the conspiracy. They're like, we got to hide this thing.
I guess.
We can't tell
unless it was a
anybody about
military doctor that was already in charge.
Right.
Or who the fuck knows?
Well, I mean, you know,
we have to do a lot of we're filling in gaps with a marker here that we don't know if any. It's like Mad Libs. We're just guessing at this point.
And the doctor was in on it. He
clearly was.
He had investment in this money wise, monetarily.
Who knows? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so this decision might have also been bolstered by the fact that there were nurses and doctors at Humanitas that had, thanks to events the previous night, already had experience, albeit unsuccessful, in treating one of these creatures.
More of these goddamn little horned, greasy bastards.
You know the guys at Humanitas had to be like, the fuck?
Again.
Really? The only reason I agreed to work tonight is I was sure it would be better than last.
And imagine that. Not only one, you get two, and you're like, oh, this is a thing now.
Yeah.
Like, this is officially a part of our life. We have to deal with this.
And in the coming days, spoiler alert, they're all going to think that this is what I do now.
Yeah.
I don't treat patients anymore.
It's just
I deal with fucking ETs.
little greasy demons.
Non-stop.
Little greasy demons. Greasy demons from space. Oh, Jesus.
Okay. Ubira Jara then found a pair of nurses who confirmed that they had seen the creature in a closed-off wing of the hospital. I'm assuming that this is Humanitas this time. It's that night. Lying on a bed and wearing an oxygen mask. So you just glance in a room and you're like, oh.
Yeah, oh, boy.
Oh, it's breathing.
And you're clearly
I'm not changing that bed.
No, you are clearly going to. You got to burn that bed, and you are never getting that.
You might have to burn the wing.
The whole wing.
No one might be using that wing of the hospital ever again.
Spoiler alert, you talk about that in the documentary.
Yeah, they do. And that's more on that next week.
Perfect.
It's not known how long Marco and Eric remained with the sickly creature, though it's likely that they were dismissed by higher-ups after being debriefed and sworn to secrecy. What is on the record, however, is that at some point in the night, Marco returned to the home he shared with his wife Valeria and mother in order to change his wet, reeking clothes. He told his mother that he needed to change before returning to work and to inform his wife that he'd be working late and wouldn't be home for dinner. Despite the rumors running rampant around town, Marco was evidently a man who took his oaths seriously, and he did not divulge any of the uncanny events that had happened to him or his partner that evening. But, secretive though he might have been, the unusual events that Marco endured would come to haunt him for the rest of what was destined to be his agonizingly short life.
This is where it gets a little...
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, unfortunately, Marco doesn't make it.
No, that's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Within days of capturing the creature, Marco began to fall ill. At first, he was diagnosed as having a generalized infection, though his doctors were unable to tell if it was caused by a bacteria, virus, fungi, or another microorganism. As the days turned into weeks, the doctors treating the young officer, including cardiologist Dr. Cesdrio, I'm having a hard time with this name, Cesdrio Lincoln Furtado, Nelly, for short, is what it's called, became baffled by the fact that this otherwise healthy 23-year-old was unable to shake a simple infection. It was as if his immune system had spontaneously shut down for no discernible reason, and his body was unable to fight what should have been a cakewalk for a man his age. Never believing that his condition might be irreversible, Marco kept his secret, but confided in his older sister Marta that he had been part of an episode whose implications were potentially earth-shaking. On the morning of February 10th, 1996, though some sources claim it was the 15th, I'm not sure, but I think moment of contact, the most recent one says 10th, so we're going to go with that.
All right.
Marco was admitted into Regional General Hospital. So, you know what? It's good enough for him too. Good on him. Although he claimed that he did not feel ill, by 7 a.m. his vitals were so bad that he was admitted into the ICU under the care of Dr. Luis Alberto Severo. Still perplexed by his condition, the doctors and nursing staff worked to save him. But despite their valiant efforts, by 11:45 a.m., Marco Eli Chirese was declared dead. Strangely, while still coming to grips with this tragedy, Dr. Severo informed the deceased's wife and mother that, despite the bizarre circumstances surrounding the officer's death, there was no need for an autopsy.
Red fucking flag.
Yeah, pin that.
Yeah, when the doctor's like, autopsy, no, he's fine. He just died of a general...
What, 23-year-old that, touches something weird and icky, can't wash it off, and dies strangely a couple weeks later? I don't see where you're curious about here.
Generalized infection.
Generalized infection.
Happens all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, constantly.
Jeez.
All right, yeah, red fucking flag, dude.
Yeah. So, fucked up. Really fucked up.
Totally.
To make matters even weirder, Dr. Severo stressed that Marco's body should be buried immediately.
Oh, boy.
Could the good doctor have been concerned that whatever toxins had killed the military man were still present and might pose a threat to any loved ones or undertakers that might come into direct contact with the corpse? If so, why not just have the government confiscate the body and cremate it or store it for further scientific study? Perhaps the concern here was less on preserving valuable evidence of the existence of highly dangerous ETs and more on swiftly making the proof of this controversy vanish. In which case, a quick funeral, followed perhaps by a stealthy disinterment by Brazilian black ops, might have been in order. I know I'm going out on a limb here.
Oh, wow.
But much easier just to have the family bury it. Records are done, boo, boo, boo,
Right.
and then dig them up later than have to deal with, like, where did my son's body go?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, if that's what they're trying to do, for sure.
I finish this by saying, this might not be as ridiculous a hypothesis as it initially seems, as Marco's family, to this day, has been denied the right by federal judges to exhume his body for a complete autopsy.
That's weird.
So, I mean,
That's
unless
really weird.
unless they really don't want any, if it is buried and they don't want any of the substance to be genuinely studied by 21st century tech, or if the body's long gone, as I suspect it is,
Right.
and they just don't want them to open up an empty grave and, just exacerbate the situation and the paranoia surrounding it, plus give the family right to seriously bitch and sue the government.
Yeah. Yeah. They're definitely hiding something there for sure.
Oh, definitely. But as overwhelmed as she and her family were by the grief of Marco's untimely death, Marta, his sister, was determined to find out what had killed her brother. Through great effort on her part, she was finally able to get a copy of his official death report, which, intriguingly and unnervingly, includes a report that an unknown toxic substance was found in his body. So just, we don't know what the fuck this is.
Yeah, that's definitely another red flag.
Yeah, definitely.
There you go.
Definitely. To make matters even more frustrating for the Cerese family, Marta claimed that not long after her brother's death, she and her mother were visited by official emissaries of the Brazilian government who confided in them that Marco's death had been caused by contact with pathogens of unknown and likely extraterrestrial origin. But to reveal such facts to the public at large would instigate a societal disruption that would likely result in the collapse of organized religion and panic in the fucking streets.
Dude, that is like some weird ass backwards psyop.
Yeah.
Like, because in a way, they're telling her the truth, but then they're like, you don't understand, you can't say something because look outside. So it will all collapse.
No one will love Jesus, and, fucking the infrastructure will fall apart. No one's going to repair sidewalks. Fires will go unwatered.
All the fire hydrants are going to stop working. Like, nothing's going to, up is down, down is up, cats and dogs. That was from Ghostbusters.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a weird one. That one, I remember during the documentary, I remember his mother talking about this.
Yes.
And just thinking to myself, like, you're putting yourself out there by saying the government, I mean, is putting themselves out there by being like, yes, no, he died from, extraterrestrial fucking bed bugs or whatever. But then to go, it's so bizarre.
See, it seems bizarre.
Or in a way, they're giving her the truth, and they're like, if she says anything, a guy in a podcast is going to be like, that's bizarre. It's weird. Like,
some 25, 30 years later.
Yeah, you're almost, by doing that, you're kind of setting her up for failure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because
in the public
you're
eye.
not able to. You can say, no, the government told me this, and people are going to be like, yeah, okay.
No, you have complete coverage on this.
Totally.
Like, you have insurance that you're.
Yeah.
You're
So I guess in a way,
it could
it's
also
smart.
It could be smart if these are just completely aggressive agents of the government that do not want the truth coming out, and they're telling her this either because it somehow behooves them to have the rumors continue, which seems odd, and that her son didn't really die from that, or because, as you just said, if she comes forward, no one's going to believe her anyway. At least no one, quote unquote, legitimate.
Trying to get around board to be like, you're the last bull. You're the last bulwark
against
going to be.
The madness and chaos that comes with
Jesus.
the revelation.
The love of Jesus stays and society continues because you help us hold this up.
Yes. And
Weird.
and that is weird, but like I say, if it's somebody that was close to maybe the kid, like was just a slightly higher up, saw the potential in him, and he knew what was going on, and maybe privately went to the family and be like, "You're right. This is not fair. This is not cool.
Maybe
he
it
was taken before his time. This is what really happened." But the government is not going to tell people this.
Yeah.
You shouldn't tell people this either, because A, you might be in danger, and B, society could collapse. I guess.
The Vatican will fall.
And even as I said, I write here, even by the standards of the highly Catholic mid-90s populace of Brazil, one has to conclude that these concerns are, at the very least, hyperbolic.
Yeah.
And they are.
Honestly.
Nevertheless, it seems that Marco's mother and wife, Valeria, accepted the terms. And perhaps a not-so-modest payoff. You can't remove that.
I mean, if
possibility.
her son and husband were, if he was killed in the line of duty,
sure, you would deserve.
You should be getting some
absolutely,
kind of
especially the wife.
Yeah,
of course,
for sure.
And so they let the matter rest. After all, nothing could bring Marco back, and why risk the lives of other family members? So I'm not saying that if they did take some money and they shut their mouths that they did anything wrong. In fact, if you have one family member who died before their time, you don't want that to happen to other family members.
Right.
Take the money. Put a kid through college, make a memorial, do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Yeah.
But keep going and shut your mouth. It just makes sense. Marta, however, would not be so easily appeased, and to this day she continues to strive to expose the truth of the sinister circumstances that indirectly led to her brother's premature death. So she's not fucking around. I've seen her in all the docs.
No, she's
just like, no. And I get it.
Good on her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a loved one, and no one's acknowledged, somebody acknowledged it privately in a weird way, but you just want the truth. I don't know what kind of dubious comfort she would get all these years later, but maybe there will be some sort of a resolution in it.
Just some kind of closure. To be like, okay, this is what happened officially, not just like, because everything surrounding this is so sketch.
Yeah.
That you're just like, you have zero comfort in knowing, like, okay, he, passed on.
Doing his job.
No, you're clearly, it's like he's covered up for a reason. So why was my brother's death covered up? Like, that's fucking huge.
And that's the other thing too. I mean, had it come out,
right?
Shit, we captured ETs.
Yeah,
and we'll discuss that in a minute too. But I mean, in Brazil in '96, that is, and we mentioned this in the very, very first podcast about this. How many parallels there are between the Varginha case and America's Roswell case. Yeah. In the Roswell case, much like the Varginha case in '96, America was still new in the Roswell case to the UFO game. There might have been a few crashes before. I'm not like a super expert on like how many things happened pre-Roswell,
right.
But it definitely seemed like that was the one that like set the tone. And if Majestic 12 is a real thing and Psalm 101 and all the things that came from it, then that was what caused that. And that's what made Truman take notice. And that's all the shit that happened. But it could have gone a very different way. They could have, assuming all this is real and it really isn't just weather balloons and fucking, mogul projects and atomic dummies or whatever. If this really was a UFO thing and the press release came out and the government just said, well, fuck it, it's out, the cat's out of the bag, let's just own it. We could be living in a very different world.
Oh, yeah.
One where we were raised not on like cheesy sci-fi movies of the 50s where the alien threat is always there, or at least subtly menacing, like in The Day the Earth Stood Still, or actively invading, like in Earth versus the Flying Saucers, but like where we know they're there, they're real, the government admits to them, and we have no fucking idea what their agenda is. It'd be a very different world.
Yeah.
And so there's a chance that could have happened, but it didn't. In 1996, I don't know how much the Brazilian government had experience with UFO crashes, but it seems like not much. And that the United States government really was coming in for their own selfish purposes, I am sure, to kind of help them out and get whatever they could from it, which we'll deal with more tomorrow.
Yeah, they use the Brazilian government 100% to be like,
I think
okay,
so too.
Like, here's the deal. Like, this is happening, but we're going to come pick it up.
But it was one of those cases where that could have been the straw that broke the camel's back, where it's like, oh, this is where it gets out. And then the United States and the Soviet Union, well, the Soviet Union was done by that point, Russia, all the other places that allegedly have information about real life aliens and crash retrieval projects and all that would have had to been like, well, fuck it. Now they know.
Right.
But America came in and helped clamp hard on this. And so this could have been a very different scenario. In the mid-90s, we could have dealt with a nation that came out and said, oh, no, we have aliens and a UFO.
Yeah, that could be a very real thing.
And so Marta could be living in a world where her brother is considered the martyred hero that helped usher in this new view of our place in galactic society.
Yeah.
And we might have been able to establish relationships with these creatures or other creatures like them. And some are dangerous and some aren't, and some maybe unintentionally so, as seems to be the case. Again, this is stuff we're going to deal with even more next week, the implications of what these things may be. But she wants to live in a world, understandably, I think, I'm supposing for her now, where her brother is a hero, where there's statues of him cradling a sickly alien in like a noble heroic gesture, like taking a wounded guy off a battlefield, and that's in the middle of Varginha instead of just like wacky, water towers of UFOs and alien sculptures. And that she could point to that and be like, without my brother and his noble sacrifice, we wouldn't know about this.
Yeah, I can totally.
And I think maybe that's what she wants out of this. And there was a chance in 1996, assuming again that this really happened the way it seems like it did, that the world could have been changed profoundly.
Yeah, I could totally understand that. I mean,
and we would be doing like a gardening podcast because it's already like done. Like, who gives a fuck?
Good sir, secret about Mark. I can't garden for shit.
Oh no, I have the blackest thumb.
Yeah, no, same here.
An apocalyptic thumb.
No, I really do. Mine's just famine.
Yeah,
it just
famine
kills everything. Yeah, here's
famine thumb.
Famine thumb. Famine thumb stores coming through. Watch out!
I love that nickname.
Closing down PNCs all across the East Coast.
Oh my God,
that's for you old timers out there.
Okay, so let's wrap this episode up because we're getting close to the ending of this chapter. The death of Marco Eli Cheresi only added to the tumult surrounding the supposedly stranded and sickly aliens. Though there were no accounts of them attacking any of their pursuers, the fact was that they were, intentionally or not, more than capable of killing healthy, young human beings. Though there was little to substantiate it, stories began swirling regarding additional deaths, particularly, those of an unnamed firefighter involved in the initial capture that were attributable to these not-so-ferocious fiends. Further rumors indicated that these creatures might not have even been the pilots of the ship that crashed near the remote farmhouse on the 13th, but that they were perhaps cargo. Mindless animals that had no idea of the damage they were capable of. Like an escaped chimp infected with Ebola, these terrified creatures might just be running wild, infecting all who come into accidental contact with an incurable infectious agent that might just be capable of destroying humanity itself.
That's lofty. Holy shit.
And something that almost certainly was rattling around in some of the brains.
Yeah.
Like whether it be the government intelligentsia that are like dealing with this going, holy fuck. This could herald a plague.
I mean, if what they know to be true is that if you touch these things that you can get sick and die, then yeah.
I mean, Stanton Friedman, God bless his soul, was always talking about cosmic water gates.
Mm-hmm.
This could have been a cosmic hot zone.
That would, yeah. Yes,
and thankfully, like hot zone, the plague was, dealt with.
Contained.
Yeah. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. And it didn't end up being one of the transmissible ones, I think, to the human race anyway. I don't know. I read that book decades ago.
Right.
But it could have. And it could have been a very bad scene indeed. Yeah. Can you imagine if they cordoned off the Panama Canal?
Yeah.
Everyone's fucking dying south of there. And it's like this
weird alien diseases.
Post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Of course, they'd come back as zombies.
Right.
It's one of the reasons they had to deal with Marco, R.I.P.
Yeah.
But who the fuck knows?
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
All right.
But even as the panic spread and these not entirely groundless fears dispersed like embers in a terrible wildfire, other theories were being formulated as to the origin and agenda of these unusual entities. And all the while, the Brazilian government was working in tandem with its silent partner, the United States, to put a clamp on the situation. Not only with a theater-wide truth embargo, but by going out into the field and collecting these valuable biological weapons for themselves. But we'll break that shit down next episode.
The U.S. comes in.
America coming in, guns blazing.
Yeah, we're scooping in. They need these goddamn little horns.
You want a permit, son? I'm American.
Yeah,
My
exactly.
plane landed here. That's my permit.
Exactly.
That's
And
foreshadowing.
There is some interesting foreshadowing there. That is definitely a part of it. There it is, the Varginha incident, part 3, death and saucers. Yes, unfortunately, Marco does not make it. It is really kind of, we've touched on this a couple of times, but it is really kind of fucking terrifying to think that you could come in contact with an extraterrestrial.
Yes.
And you get like fucking space rabies from it. And it just
That's
doesn't make you rabid. It just fucking destroys you.
Just kills you. Like,
It's
eats up your
fucking
brain.
terrible.
First off, I mean, we don't know if it's like a pathogen or a toxin.
Right.
We don't know. Again, I know we speculated last week that maybe when you smell the scent, you get that ammoniated rotten egg sulfur stench, that you realize, the terror spray, the skunk spray.
Stay away
is
from
just,
it.
psh, and maybe it's just something that they're not even in charge of. It's just a self-defense mechanism.
Right.
When they're scared, like, say, I don't know, a random dude runs out on a rainy night and scoops you up off your feet and throws you into a metal contraption with wheels and takes you somewhere you don't want to fucking go. You might have you might do it intentionally or unintentionally.
It's a secretion.
Yeah.
Keep predators away.
It could, it could run either way. But even if it was an intentional thing, this creature has every right to be terrified. Whether or not it's an animal or intelligent, that's another thing we're gonna deal with more. I mean, it has every right to be scared.
These are not overtly or outwardly dangerous to anybody.
They have claws that can tear through solid wood.
Right.
No one reports a
they
wound.
are literally, every time you come across them, they're trying to hide and scurry away.
Yes.
So if they were like super aggro and dangerous, it sounds like they could
have done a lot more damage.
Fuck the whole city up like real quick.
Or if they're like self-aware of like how toxic they are, they could have like a monkey hucking feces. They could have just like touched their body and touched other people. They could have just gone around high five, and just fucking killed 1,000 people.
Yeah.
In like no time at all. But they're not trying to do this. It doesn't seem.
No.
But it still is terrifying because, like, say, like we were talking the other day, the moon, the people that went to the moon, the astronauts, how they had to be quarantined in case they got moon bugs.
Yeah,
you didn't fucking know. And certainly they'll quarantine the first people that go to Mars and anywhere else that might be a little dicey, because everything's dicey. Let's be honest.
You never know. You don't want to bring home space STDs, dude.
And this really could have been a turning point. So it could have been a turning point in terms of pop culture and just basically human history, and I guess more than pop culture. I don't think it would have ruined religion and had panic in the streets, though maybe in Varginha itself for a short time.
Right.
But we would have known we weren't alone in the universe. That could have been a fundamental change. If it were a disease and it were able to spread by more than simply being in physical contact with these creatures,
like airborne or something,
which makes me think that it probably is a toxin rather than at least not an airborne pathogen. Maybe it still is a disease or a fungus, or who the fuck knows. That this really could have been an apocalyptic moment for the human race.
Yeah.
And we might have narrowly missed a bullet. And very few people talk about that in terms of the Varginha case. A lot of people talk about all these other fascinating aspects, and so are we. That's one of the reasons I'm so fascinated and love this case. But what really should be flirted with a little more is that one seems to be confirmed death, even though obviously it's not really confirmed. It's still speculative. More reports of other firemen and other army people that might have been, wrangling them up in the woods when like the 8 of them got captured and one got shot 3 times in the chest. All it takes is somebody touching it without a glove to be fucked.
Yeah.
So this really could have gone south, but it didn't, thankfully.
No, and also too interestingly enough, as we mentioned in the story here, is that there's UFOs that appear to be actively looking for these things.
That's the other thing,
which is kind of
how can they be not related? I understand. We always say, the human mind likes to put two things together. It really couldn't be. There's a chance that UFO that was over the guy's house that just wanted to get some food with his family and be anonymous. Fucking 30 years later, thanks James Fox, but couldn't do it. Fucking this guy, might have seen a UFO that had dick all to do.
Just imagine like the UFOs like just looking like, what the fuck is that thing? There's a little greasy horned space demon down there. What the hell's going on?
Up. That shouldn't be here.
Yeah,
Hey, Doug, have you ever seen one of these before? Not in Varginha.
How the fuck is that on Earth? Holy shit. I think it's safe to say that they are connected from all the reports of the UFOs in the area. Everyone that reported one was like, they were looking for something. They were very low to the ground and they had their like shit, just like a grid pattern, just scanning for shit.
And the question is,
interesting.
Is this a rescue operation? A recovery operation in the sense that this is livestock / maybe weapons. I mean, who knows? It could have been sort of like the way predators used aliens, in that aliens aren't as intellectually developed, at least according to lore. I'm not an expert like you are, but predators love to hunt and do their shit, and these things are just like purely biological aliens, that is, purely xenomorphs, I think they're called technically.
Yep.
Purely biological weapons that just breed, eat, kill, die, and start all over again.
Yeah.
Maybe these things are what aliens throw on planets when they want to depopulate it.
Oh, kind of.
If that's the case, it didn't work.
Bringing it back to Alien with the engineers, dude. When they want to like kill humanity or whatever.
The giant thing with the chest burst open, which is still one of the most striking images in cinema history.
I still love both those movies. I don't care. I will die on my Prometheus
I don't
Hill.
love the prequels. I
will die on Alien Covenant Hill.
They're garbage. But when I saw the original Alien and they first came upon this giant thing, and I hate the fact that the engineers are just these pale wackadoo things. I like when they were like elephant trunk bio-organic, H.R. Giger nightmares that were integrated into the ship. And when I saw those creatures, I'm like, holy shit, it's a whole other species that they're not even going to deal with, that were killed by these aliens. How the fuck are we going to survive?
Yeah.
Fuck the prequels, but we'll just leave it
at
that.
Right, we're going to leave it there. So yeah, definitely.
But yes, it's a possibility.
Yeah, it is.
That's
is.
what they were, and if that is, then they weren't a very good weapon because they didn't do much damage.
No, unfortunately, I feel bad.
Unless, of course, it was accidentally released on Earth because it was a legitimate crash, and they're like, "Oh fuck, we're not at war with Earth.
Right?
They're kind of dicks, but we're not here to fucking exterminate them.
I guess we
still have to make mineral deals and shit.
I guess you would think if they were weapons, that they would be a little bit more ferocious, kind of like in Beastmaster when they put the green worm into the dude's fucking strap it on, and they're fucking
Jung Horde.
Yeah, fuck Kodo and Podo and fucking those cool.
Oh, what were those winged things? The ones that we love that debone you instantly.
Oh, I don't even.
They're the coolest creatures ever.
I know, they're so dope.
They just come up with their big heads and they wrap you up in your bones.
Yeah,
you're nothing but bones, man.
Just bones, man.
Love Beastmaster. Dude's codpiece a little modest. I should say.
Beastmaster 2 was a cinematic masterpiece that everyone's sleeping on. So
yeah, all right, fair enough. We're gonna leave it at that. So I guess on that note, we'll pick this up next week.
Totally.
We're gonna deal with a few more things that are important to the case and then the aftermath.
Yes, definitely. There you are. Thank you all so very much for tuning in every week. And again, the Varginha Incident Part 3, Death and Saucers. Oh, the ending of the show, my mind, Patreon.
Yeah.
It went blank and then I was like, Patreon.
That's what we do now.
Patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast.
We pay respects.
$1 is the bonus audio, and the $5 is the 4 bonus audios.
Both get you a shout out.
Both get you a shout out and get you access to the Discord. Robert, let's do those shout outs. Good, sir.
A hearty thank you to Evan Russo.
Thank you, Evan.
Kaylin Shock.
Thank you, Kaylin.
And thank you for the phonetic spelling.
Appreciate it.
Oh, so appreciated, because that would have definitely been Kaylin Shakak.
Yep.
Or something like that.
Totally.
Michael Burchart.
Thank you, Michael.
Could be Burchart. Nope, Burchart. We're going with that.
Do it.
And again, if we made a mistake, you know the deal, Mike. You should by now.
There you go.
Mike Hansen.
What up, Mike?
Christy Stonebreaker.
Hell yeah, Christy.
Oh my God, is that a D&D name?
It should be.
You're hard. You're hard Nordic.
I love it.
Even if you're not. Anthony Mikulski.
Thank you, Anthony.
Pamela to her mom, Miller.
Thank you, Pam.
Could be wrong about that. I don't know your mom. We're going to round it out with fake name.
Oh, fake name.
Fake name.
That's classic.
Rodimus Grime.
Classic fake name right there. Thank you all for your continued monthly support over there.
Oh my God, thank you so
Patreon.
much.
And as we mentioned in the beginning of the episode, coming up here Friday, January 20th, 8:30 p.m. Campfire Mirror. This is kick off the new year with an extra spooky Campfire Mirror. Hop in the general voice chat on Friday, January 20th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and share and discuss your true stories of Bloody Mary, the thing standing behind you, messages left in the steam, and more. All are welcome to attend and discuss or just listen. If you have a story that's not on topic, we welcome all experience and stories as long as they are true. So again, that is on the Discord. If you are on the Patreon, the one of the 5, you get access to the Discord server. Jump on there. It's awesome. So many people are on there. It's so cool. I see you popping in there
every now and again. Yeah.
Weird times.
Well, I'm always up at weird times.
I'm up at like 5 a.m. getting ready for work. I'm like standing at my desk and I like look over at my Discord screen because I have a Discord screen just for Discord. And I'm
so
like,
glad.
oh fuck, there's Rob. Why is it fucking 5:10? What the fuck's he doing?
Chime in.
Just
Dude,
here
what
fucking
am I
talking.
doing? You know that's exactly
You're
what. That's my
talking.
prime hour of the day. I'm always up.
So be sure to check that out. Again, you can get access to that on the Patreon. It is tied to your tier. If you got any issues with that, shoot me an email. I can give you a hand with that. The Instas and the Twitters and the Facebooks, Robert, we're out there in the social medias. We're doing it. Be sure to follow, like, comment, do whatever you got to do in the socials there.
Yeah, and if
We're
you send a
rocking it.
message, feel free. Feel
Yeah,
free.
definitely.
Mark
DM.
can either pass it on to me or you can send one directly to me at Instagram. Do not expect a prompt reply. That is not because I'm a dick. It's just because I'm old and don't give a fuck and I'm going to do what I want to do, and then eventually I'll check my shit.
And then eventually Rob will check it, and then there you go.
And then I'll respond.
Yes. he
And
will.
probably with a very long response. Not always. Don't count on that. But
I've seen your...
there's a pretty good chance you're going to get more than you
I
want.
have seen your dissertations, good sir.
I don't mean to do that.
It's okay.
But you got to deliver the facts.
It's okay.
This
Dude,
is why Varginha was
I
supposed to be
know.
a two-parter, and it's becoming our fucking saga, our four-parter.
We're gonna end it at a 4-parter. We're gonna bring it down.
I'm gonna do my
or-
best.
We're
There's
gonna
a chance we might. No, it's
no.
only
We're
4.
gonna bring it down to a 4-parter.
I mean,
We're
but you
gonna
know, I
make it
can't
work.
skip on the facts. If there's a saucy
okay.
story, we got to tell it.
It's okay. We're gonna bring it down to a 4-parter, and we're gonna make it work.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's not Mothman yet. It
No.
hasn't hurt me in any way. It hasn't threatened my mom.
We've been living in Varginha for a while now, so I think we're gonna.
No,
wrap
it's
it
true.
up.
I think one more week. I mean, as much as I love the case,
Yeah,
I
it
think we've
is
got
cool,
one
for
more
sure.
good solid week of storytelling and wrap up, and
Yeah,
and
there you
then
go.
we can move on.
Yeah, there it is. So there it is. Thank you all so very much for your continued support, tuning in every week and listening. We appreciate it. Oh, merch, heatherspace.com or
yeah.
cryptonautmerch.com. Check those out. We will have new stuff going up at cryptonautmerch.com.
Yeah, right now we only have, I
soon.
think, sticker sheets and a single release T-shirt.
Yeah,
the
we have-
Loveland Frogman.
We have a new
by
T-shirt
Todd
design,
Purse. God-
and we have
God bless him and
some,
his skills.
some stickers and stuff like that. Also going.
Everything else is still on Heller Space.
Yep, everything else is still over there.
On
So
TeePublic.
we're going to be adding some more designs, exclusive ones over there at cryptonautmerch.com. So be sure to check that out. And if you order merch and you got pictures of yourself in the Instas or whatever, like here's me in my dope Cryptonaut shirt, hit me up, tag me, let me know. I'll repost it and everything. I love seeing people wear our shit. It's super cool.
Oh, it's totally cool.
Yeah,
If you have
totally.
suggestions, throw them out there. We always love hearing them, and you never know. I mean, a lot of times we end up doing a design because enough people are like, do this fucking thing. And we're like,
There
we'll
it
do
is.
that fucking
We'll
thing.
do it. Boom. There it is. Thank you all so very much. And we're talking to you soon.
Thank you all so much for keeping us company. I don't know where the song is going, but I
No,
really
finish
am.
it.
I'm
Finish
great. No, I'm grateful to
Finish
our
it.
listeners. I really am.
I hear you finish the song.
I don't even know. I mean, I didn't even mean to sing. Sometimes
Oh,
I just sing
okay.
when I'm happy.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have a good singing voice. I know that. I'm aware of this. You don't need to tell me
You're
that.
not terrible of singing at all.
Oh, I'm not good.
I don't think you're terrible.
But sometimes I dance too. Not a very good dancer.
You
But I'll
have
spontaneous.
moves.
I do have pretty
have
good moves.
moves.
I was a '90s club kid, so I mean I have a slight advantage.
Dude, were you like partying? Like,
I mean I wasn't full pacifier glow stick.
no, you were. You
Shut up. All right. well,
You were.
techno nights.
Oh,
So occasionally, yeah. I mean, how are you not going to go to a rave? I mean, it was nuts. It was a different time. But the point is, I have a few dance steps. I can't sing well, but I do both spontaneously and often when I'm in a good mood. So that's why everyone just got a little song. So I'm happy to be here with you and them.
All right, there it is.
Love you guys.
We're talking to you soon.
So happy.
Peace.
Bye.